What's going on, everybody? Christian Hernandez here with SVG. We're back with another edition of the SVG Sports Tech on Demand. I am pleased to be joined by Michelle Truman. She is the Manager of Partnership Development for our good friends at SOS Global. Michelle, how are you doing today, and how is 2021 going for you so far?
2021 is great. Honestly, 2020 was not as bad for SOS as for some, but 2021 is challenging with, we have Olympics on top of Olympics.
Yep.
So we have a great team and looking forward to what the end of 2021 is going to look like.
Well, good to hear. Olympics on Olympics sounds a little bit busy, but busy is good. That's always good to hear, making sure business is always moving. And those two Olympics will be a fun one. So let's look back a little bit in terms of kind of how SOS was able to adapt to productions during the pandemic. You mentioned that 2020 was a good year, relatively off than most. But how did you help the industry kind of navigate the troubles that 2020 presented to everyone?
For us, 2020 was a time zone coordination.
Okay.
So what sets SOS apart from all other logistics companies has always been our white glove service, which means coordinating in real time now worldwide with home offices. So like everyone else, we're working remotely, which has been a little bit more difficult when it requires real-time answers.
Right.
So that's kind of been our gut check, if you will, to make sure we have the best technology in the industry and that there is no perceived changes to the service that we're providing our clients. Because we're all trying to get to know this new on site where there's more coordination prior, there's skinnier teams, and we're dealing with the unexpected protocols and on-site issues like never before. So the pandemic for us is to be very clear of our clients' on-site needs and ready to pivot so they can focus on what their unknowns are. So for COVID, for us, even the protocols are still very muddy. For example, we just came off the Super Bowl and going into the NFL draft. And the NFL draft has a 72-hour prior to travel home test. Okay. But coming off the Masters and the NCAA, there was a bit of more coordination with CBS, Turner, and ESPN working under more of one umbrella where you went on and chose the property, and then they had rapid on testing available on site. So hopefully moving through 2021, we'll be able to find that single best practice protocol for on-site with all the property rights holders that is compliant with all the company safety measures, because that's kind of what we're dealing with is everybody has their own. Mm-hmm. So kind of boils down for us, answering your question, is SOS has a great team and we understand our clear client needs, and it's regardless of the pandemic. That's what we've always prided ourselves on.
Right. You're always there from the beginning of the project to the end, seeing it through. And right, streamlined kind of process to make sure that everyone's working on the same page, because it seems like each production is unique. Besides that, it makes your job a little bit harder because you're trying to make sure you're listening to this person and to this network. So maybe a more streamlined approach will make your job a bit easier in 2021. But moving forward, thankfully, we're getting closer to the end of this pandemic. At some point, vaccines are coming out, which means more on-site productions will be more prevalent. I mean, everyone can come back to the compound and say hi to everybody. So and with that in mind, how is the company going to continue helping the industry move forward as we go along?
Being incredibly agile and having a pivot plan.
Right.
Let's take the Olympics. We kind of started with the Olympics. Let's jump back to the Olympics, because I don't think not everybody understands, the challenges that the underlying heroes have. Mm-hmm. And so when COVID hit, we were already in a full Olympic mode, and it came to a grinding halt, which we had already over 400 containers in Japan. Mm-hmm. So the restart for us looked much different than what everybody else was dealing with, in that we had to do inventory of what was already there, plus now what were going to be the reduced needs of our clients. And adding on top of it, we're already in full Beijing mode. And now because of that overlap, we have to help the client sort what is needed in Japan and then coming home, and then what is needed to go forward. So that has been a very difficult kind of a strategy for us to get underhand. Because ultimately, look, your question was looking forward. So right now, the transportation equipment is in balance. And it doesn't matter if you're floating or flying. Flights have been reduced. The Suez Canal just exacerbated an already congested ports. 18 months ago, international transportation was fairly predictable. And now rates have increased to 50% to 200 and more in some markets. There's difficult with longer transit times. Domestically, it's not any prettier. We're looking at 48% increases with trucking causing bidding wars. So moving forward, I think for everybody is to give yourself a little bit more planning time, right, and to start working with us so much more in advance than ever before, so that we can help you have those realistic expectations and budgets. So it means being incredibly agile for us and having not only a pivot plan, but a plan, B, C, D, E, F, and G to bring forward, right, so that we can make better decisions together as a partnership, instead of you being left hostage, clients being left hostage to what is available, not what the strategy could have been.
Okay. It sounds like SOS is battling a war on two fronts, it seems like, because you're worrying about the Summer Olympics in Tokyo and then the Winter Olympics in Beijing. So making sure everyone's doing their homework and making sure preparations are in order to make sure the job is easy as possible. But Michelle, for now,
lots of planning.
Yeah, lots of planning. That's the motto moving forward. But for now, Michelle, I really appreciate you taking the time. Great meeting you. Great to hear all the insights that SOS is doing to keep the industry moving forward. Stay safe and best of luck in 2021. We look forward to seeing all the success.
You too. Thank you.